Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So doing something a little bit different this time. I've decided to make this could be a standalone video or even part of a series depending on how well it goes down and how much time I get to continue to make things like this perhaps for other champs. But to start off, we're going to go with Peni Parker and let's call this episode 1 of potentially a one-part series standalone or just an actual extended series. But these are just going to be surface level guides, so the aim here is just to showcase a little bit of what Peni can do on attack at a fairly, like I say, surface level. I don't want to delve too deep into her abilities and spend too long looking at everything, because there are other people in the community with a lot more knowledge who can do a much better job at things like that. But what the aim for this kind of a series might be is just give these surface level looks at champs, so people have a very quick video to look at that doesn't maybe throw too much information at them at once, and allows them to get a small appreciation for what a champ can do and go, maybe that looks kind of interesting, maybe I want to find out a bit more. Because I know I'm someone who, particularly when it comes to champs with tons of abilities and loads of reading to do, it can be quite off-putting getting into that champ. And so sometimes it's nice to just see like these smaller videos where you get a taste of what they're about, and if it interests you, then it's a champ you can then look up bigger information on. But delving into the video itself, and now you can see some of this gameplay was taken from the 7.4 beta back when it was up, so that's when I first started to play around with Peni. So this is footage of someone who's half skilled and just using a champion for the first time. So here I'm playing Peni a bit like how you would play Sunspot or Guardian, perhaps by just really trying to maximize the ramp up and get as big a burst special 2 as you can. This is something I've kept in the video because it's actually something I would say perhaps don't do with Peni, or you might find yourself getting disappointed, which is how I felt after this initial testing, because I found it was quite impractical. And it just, these charges, despite getting 22 seconds on them, so this is the first ability we want to talk about. These spider sense charges, you build them by knocking them over a bar of power. Every time they gain a bar of power, you gain 1 of these charges. Every time you throw a special 1, you gain 4 of these charges. And if they're getting knocked over a bar of power by that special 1, you gain 3 additional ones. So essentially, if you push them to just under a bar of power and then knock them over with the special 1, you're going to gain 8 charges in total. So how do you want to do this with that? Well, 10 of these charges are going to stick indefinitely, whereas every other charge gained afterwards you get 22 seconds, and those 22 seconds is where you can race back up to your special 2 and then cash in on these charges. Every charge you have will do a certain amount of incinerate damage per web shooter hit. Now her special 2 is about 11 hits, and I think 9 of those are web shooter hits, so you get 9 separate bursts of the special 2, basically incinerate damage. And yeah, you've ramped up her spider sense charges. It's pretty good. So you'll see in this video, I'm this initial gameplay, this is when I was first playing her, so I was trying to go for like 25 up to 30 even, see how many I can get. And yeah, I think a better way to play her is lower expectations a little bit in terms of how many you can ramp up. I'd say 15 to 20 is a good bracket generally, knowing that 10 of those are capped, so you throw 1 special 1 after that point and then you try to race up to the special 2. So 15 to 20 is a good place to aim for. The damage is still really good. Of course, if you can get 20 to 25, that's even better. But 15 to 20 would be the expectation. Now, how can you get up to that special 2 fast? Well, one thing is when you have your sync shield up, if every parry is going to give you some power back as well, so that will help you in that kind of rush to the special 2. Now, another thing to note, which we'll see in this, or probably already have seen in this footage of this Punisher fight, and may see again, is the sync shield's ability to just really make her a tanky, sustainable champ. Just look at that there. No damage taken from Punisher's special 2, and you'll see later when the sync shield is down and I do block it, I take significantly more damage. So it's really nice to have ability on attack, really underrated. It's something that's more looked at from her defensive side, but it's nice to have. Now, something you're seeing here and may have seen already is this power burn charge. How am I getting that? Well, every time I throw a special one while having 11 more or more of these spider sense charges, you inflict a power burn. So you actually get a small power drain when you throw your special one itself, which is why you throw it right when they're around a bar of power, because it will, it will drag them under a bar and then knock them back over. So you throw it actually right as you've knocked them over a bar of power, because then that drains them under and pushes them over, and that gets you more spider sense charges. Now if you do that with 11 or more, you're also going to inflict a power burn, and that allows a little bit of more ground to play around their bar of power. So yeah, as you can see, all these little pieces of her kit can come together really nicely when you play them in unison, and allow for that big special 2 detonation where you get all the incinerate damage. And that's just something I personally find really satisfying when you get that big burst damage. It's not necessarily just like these big yellow numbers, or in her case they're not big yellow numbers, they're big red numbers because they're burst damage. But it's just, when you can have that satisfying ramp up with a champion and see it, rewarded. And it's, like I say, it's nothing too difficult to do. It's just a bit more impractical if you're going for absolute highest spider sense charges. Now, another thing to note as well is don't get discouraged by the number of hits she's dealing. It's something that can, like you see here, over 100 hits, and you can think of, sometimes when you do a fight with a champion and you see they take so many hits, it can be a bit discouraging. But her special 2 is 11 hits, as I've mentioned. I think her special 1 is 7 hits, so her ramp up is going to involve a lot of hits. So it doesn't make her a bad champ just because she takes more of those. Now, there's actually a useful side to that as well. So this is something in DLL recently released a video doing an incursions run where she was like really useful for him, and it gave a lot of gameplay there. So I would check that out, and I will link that in the description below as well. But what we saw there is the use of the fact that she's got so many hits for Aggression Fury was a particular node he was up against, but you can think of any of the other aggression based ones, Aggression Prowess, Aggression Regeneration, etc., and how she can control those by the fact that she gets so many hits of her specials. High Ground also comes to mind, but of course because of the incinerates you want from her special 2, she's not particularly great high ground counter overall. But yeah, there's just so many pieces of utility in her kit, and she's a very fun champ while not being, someone who I'd say is like an absolute must-have. She's someone where if you can grow that appreciation for her, you can find that you like her. She's a great champ to use. So in terms of her abilities and her kit, the only other thing worth noting is she has a double immunity to poison and incinerate. So other than combating COVID and pandemic, what else is that good for? Well, anything that involves those two. So Hazard Shift is one big use of it, and anything like Back Blast, you get Incinerate 30, you get Poison nodes, all these different ones. Then you get other nodes such as Clapback as well, where, on her special 2, she deals those Incinerates, which is a big part of her damage. She's not going to take damage back, she's not going to take those Incinerates back, so it's very useful there in that sense too. So I hope all of these different abilities give you a bit of insight into what she's about, like I say, surface level look at Peni Parker and how she can be used in attack. You can see even in a fight like this, Professor X will also falter. Sometimes you just don't get the openings you want. She can still get pretty nice ramp up and big damage of the special 2. So like I say, just don't get too sidetracked by trying to go for the biggest number of spider sense charges. Like you can see here, I accepted, I had 11 or 12 of them and went for it, and the damage is still really nice. So yeah, I included this gameplay just to show how I started her off with her trying to maximize the spider sense charges, and quickly realized that's an impractical way of going about it and not the best way. But of course, you've got to find your own play. You might find you're really good at getting those high spider sense numbers, and like I say, it will depend on matchups. How the AI plays into it. It will vary a lot. But I will now let this play out and get back to some of the later fights and talk about what I enjoyed Peni Parker doing in those. Alright, so next up is a slightly different look at Peni Parker here. So this is actually in the Cav EQ from December. So our first month with these new crossfight style to the quest. And yeah, essentially Peni Parker puts in some work on this. So this, as you can see, I've taken like one fight before with her, so that's how I have some of those furies. But Dragonman here represented a good opportunity to showcase as well how much more effective she can become as well when there's a champ that's gaining power. So his power charges, meaning that he's regularly gaining power and crossing that bar of power, allows for her to ramp up better, and therefore, you know, just because she can gain a spider sense charge every time he's gaining that bar of power as he goes up. So you've seen a couple of times as well how the auto block is actually saving me from missing my parries, and that's what I say again in terms of her being, you know, that sustainable champ. Those really do come into play a lot more than you'd expect on attack, and it's a really nice safety net to have as well. So yeah, as you can see, she's got decent control of this one. One thing to note as well is actually every time you auto block, you lose 4 of your charges, so those are drained in the process, so that's a bit of a sacrifice you make. But still I'm up to 11 charges despite, as you can see, I've had quite a few auto blocks saving me, and I can still get that special 2 off because Dragonman was gaining enough power that I was still ramping those up fairly quickly despite, you know, making the mistakes. This is the boss for the same quest, so the actual global doesn't come into play here. That benefits Peni Parker and other people in that class type. In that champion tag, which I think was like Spider-Verse and other stuff. So yeah, this boss wasn't particularly supposed to stand out, but then I noticed he had Matador, and then also another note that will give him power every time a debuff is applied to me, which was going to be applied by every time I gain a bar of power, I get a taunt debuff on me. So those two coming together just means that there's a lot of windows to build her spider sense charges. As you can see there, I lose some as well, again, auto block coming into play. But now it's just a case of, you know, getting him over those bars of power, playing Peni the same way I would like to, with throwing her special one just as I knock her over the bar of power, as you can see there, and letting that power gain just mean that he's constantly gaining power, going over those bars of power, which means my spider sense charges are going up. And these are the kind of fights that I feel where Peni can really shine. You know, when they've got that power gain like that, and then that means I can gain my power faster. So you can see I've got 20 charges here, now 21, I just need him to throw special, and I've got my special 2, and I can now dump it with 20 spider charges and get that, you know, really nice burst damage off it. And yeah, that's literally all there was for this fight, just that cycle, those nodes pairing up, you know, nothing specifically that you would think Peni is amazing for at first, but you know, they line up really nicely to allow her, you know, her cycle to become a bit more practical for getting those higher spider sense charges and have some fun with the burst damage on it. Alright, and so the final showcase for Peni Parker here is up against the Domino, Kinetic, Transference and Power Bond, Path 7A in a Tier 1 Alliance War. So my Peni Parker, of course, is still rank 2, 6-star, so I'll give her a little bit of a bump with some small boosts to try and, you know, level the playing field with a rank 3, SIG 200 Domino that I'm going to be facing here. So I don't think I'd go as far as saying, you know, like Peni's the best counter for this or anything like that. I do still think that, you know, the likes of probably a confident Ghost player or Warlock player would be better options here. I'm sure there's maybe others, but Peni surprised me here, and you know how well she did. And this is a matchup which, you know, Domino and Kinetic Transference can go so easily wrong. I do get a little lucky at the end of this one that this one didn't go too far south. But I get a pretty clean solo in the end, and so, you know, it's just another showcase of what Peni can do, and again, how a node where the opponent is going to be gaining fairly significant power can actually come, if you can confidently bait their specials out, can actually come as a positive thing for Peni, and allowing her to get ramped up a little bit faster and, you know, get that nice special 2 burst damage to close the fight out. So just letting this one roll, you can see here the sync shield as well being there just will also help to mitigate some damage. Of course, as part of the node description for kinetic transference, they actually gain more power if you're blocked. If their blocked hit deals 0 damage, so every time you block hit, I think it's 10% power, and then I think that becomes 20% if their blocked hit does 0. And of course, with the sync shield up, their hits will be doing 0 damage into the sync shield, so that's, you don't want to block too much or they will gain power rapidly, especially with someone like Domino, where she can go lucky and then evade you. The good thing for Peni Parker is that she's tech, so there's no chance of being unlucky, so you can freely dex those specials. But yeah, she'll deal with this quite confidently, so we're up to 10 spider sense charges here. Now we're just trying to avoid getting backed up. Got to be careful with those combos, with Domino being lucky right now. But here I am aiming to just get to my special 2, because I've got the charges I want, and then here we throw them. We do get a bit lucky in the corner, and also the fact that she didn't evade. And there you go, melted just like that. And as you can see, there's no need to push for the 20 plus, you know, spider sense charges or whatever. Just having the 12 there was more than enough. Anyway, that will be enough for this video. I hope that this has been a nice, you know, little look into Peni Parker and what she can do on attack. And like I say, this isn't supposed to be a full-on guide and, you know, an absolute showcase of everything she can do. She's not even duped for me, for example, so she is missing one big piece of utility. It's just hopefully a kind of video that if someone stumbles across it, it maybe opens their eyes to, hey, you know, Peni Parker's not too bad, and encourages them to maybe do a bit more research on her, have a bit of play about, and see if she's the kind of champ that she would like. But yeah, I hope that you have enjoyed this particular video. I don't want it to drag out too long, so that will be all for this one. Take care, and see you in the next video or stream, whenever that might be. Still a busy time of year for me, so probably be another week or 2 before I can start doing maybe streams again. But yeah, hopefully you've enjoyed that, and if you have, do let me know in the comments section below if there are any other champions you would like this sort of thing on. Of course, it'll hopefully be a champion I own and have ranked up. But I'll try to maybe do this kind of thing if, you know, if it's something that people like as a series, perhaps once a month or once every other month, depending on, you know, how I get the time to do it. But yeah, take care and see you in the next one.